Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a presentation that's going to be made by the Canadian Volunteer Fire Service, and Mark Pam from Berwick, is it? Kentville Fire Department going to present the awards for tonight.
It's truly an honor to stand here before you today on behalf of the Canadian Volunteer Fire Services Association to present one of the most prestigious recognitions of our organization, the Lifetime Achievement Award. This year, we are proud to celebrate an exceptional individual whose dedication, service, and leadership have left an indelible mark on the volunteer fire service community. Please join me in congratulating the 2024 recipient, Reed Wynot of the Bridgewater Fire Department. Reed's career in the fire service is nothing short of extraordinary. With 50 years of service, his unwavering commitment to protecting his community and mentoring the next generation of firefighters embodies the very spirit of volunteerism. Reed has not only responded to countless emergencies, but has also been instrumental in shaping the culture of safety, camaraderie, and excellence within the Bridgewater Fire Department. Throughout his tenure, Reed has demonstrated a passion for sharing his knowledge and expertise. From training new recruits to enhancing operational protocols, he's ensured that the legacy of the Bridgewater Fire Department is one of resilience and readiness. His mentorship has inspired many to follow in his footsteps, fostering a stronger, more connected fire service community. Reed's contributions extend beyond his department. His leadership and advocacy for volunteer fire service have made a lasting impact on our collective mission to safeguard communities across Canada. He exemplifies what it means to serve selflessly, and his dedication reminds us all why we choose this path. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to Makita for their support of this award. As a valued partner, Makita's commitment to recognizing the outstanding contributions of individuals like Reed is a testament to their belief in the power of community and volunteerism. Their sponsorship ensures that we can continue to honor those who have given so much to protect and serve. All the tools on the table are a donation from Makita to the recipient's department. Reed, as you accept this Lifetime Achievement Award, know that your impact reaches far beyond the walls of your fire hall. Your leadership, dedication, and compassion have touched countless lives, and your legacy will inspire future generations of volunteer firefighters. This is the first year that we'll be giving a large coin for Reed to keep, and it's got his name engraved on it with the year, as well as now this is one of only 15 coins like this, a keeper coin or pocket coin that he can have as well. On behalf of the Canadian Volunteer Fire Services Association, the Bridgewater Fire Department, and the many communities you have served, thank you for extraordinary service. Congratulations, Reed, on this well-deserved recognition. Please join me in a round of applause as we celebrate the remarkable achievements of Reed Wynot.
welcome to our official stamp cancellation for the town of Bridgewater. And glad to see everybody's here.
I just like, well, first of all, thank you everyone for coming out to this on our birthday, 125 years. It's something quite special for the town, and I want to thank the South Shore Stamp Club for this the stamp cancellation. Right, is that the pictorial stamp cancellation?
Yes.
I have in my pocket the last one that I keep in my office at Town Hall from 2017, where we had the one for Bijanuiska Park, which also has the nice stamp on it for the park. So I have a couple of these that are on display, so whenever I'm meeting with developers or business people interested in coming to our town to start a new business, this is one of the things they see. And so to mark our 125th birthday with another, I find these, obviously they're unique, but they're also very special. I think it's very fitting. So thank you all for putting this together and for being here today.
Anyways, thank you everybody for coming for our Bridgewater 125. And the Philatelic Society has asked us to produce a cancellation commemorating this event, so which we have done, and it's turned out with very positive reviews. And Canada Post is really pleased to be involved with supporting Philatelic Society and Bridgewater. So of course, it's just been a great time. So the cancel is officially released as of right now, and please take part in some of the festivities. We have coffee, tea, donuts, anything you folks like. So thank you very much.
Thanks for all your effort.
Yeah.
Thanks, folks. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of Bridgewater Town Council. As always, Town of Bridgewater is located in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and it is our privilege to be here. We have an agenda that's been circulated. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as circulated? Councillor Newell, seconded by Deputy Mayor McDonald. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Down to announcements. Announcements, anyone? Councillor Vergier?
Yes, yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to announce this coming Saturday at Shipyard's Shindig Music and Art Festival. That's Saturday, June 14th. The event starts at 11 a.m. till 10:30 p.m. I understand tickets are still available, so you can go on the website to purchase those or go to the events page for Town of Bridgewater for more info. So the event will cover homegrown music and arts festival that lights up the historic riverfront of Bridgewater. Get ready for a day packed with local bands, DJs, artisans, food trucks, and Nova Scotia beer, showcasing the unique spirit and creativity of the South Shore. Whether you're dancing, discovering handmade treasures, or diving into the mouth-watering local flavors, Shipyard Shindig has something for everyone, all set against the stunning LaHave River. So there's quite a lineup of music, so under age of 12 is free, so be sure to check that out this Saturday.
That's great, thank you. Councillor Newell.
Yeah, of course, we live in a very exciting town, and I just a couple of congratulations to share. Congratulations to Hike Nova Scotia. They had a successful summit, I do believe, that was held here in town. So that was incredible. That was held from May 30th to June 1st. I want to send a congratulations to Parkview Education Center's Drama Society. They had a successful production of West Side Story from May 29th to June 1st. That built on last year's success. They're able to actually get lapel mics for all their actors. That was incredible. And I want to share my appreciation to all the businesses and organizations that participated in our Explore Downtown Bridgewater Day. Despite the rain, I still heard some great things. I took the family out and we saw a few things. So appreciate everyone who participated in that.
That's great, thank you. Others? Just a note, there's a few things happening around the community in the coming weeks, but we don't have a council meeting next week. So just on Monday, June 16th at the LCLC, the circus is in town. Not council, a whole other circus. There's a show at 4:30 and a show at 7. So that's Monday the 16th. And then next Saturday, or a week Saturday, June 21st, is the Michelin Junior Bike event at the Michelin Social Club. Always a huge event. Lots of kids, lots of fun for that. And starting a week tomorrow is Music on the Riverbank. Starts back up again. You can find the list of all the artists on the town's Facebook page and my Facebook page and on the town's app. So another plug for the town's app. You can go to the events tab, click that, and it'll tell you what's going on, including I think all the events that we've talked about here tonight. So that's always a huge hit, and that starts a week tomorrow. So if that's everything, we will go into our delegation. So Vaughn Wynot's here to talk about skateboarding and skate park on the heels of I believe a very successful event that was there a couple weeks ago.
Yes. So my name is Vaughn Wynot, and I've had a long history in Bridgewater with skateboarding. I used to work with Ida Scott with the Smart Bridgewater and the subcommittee skateboard group in Bridgewater. We fundraised the modular ramps and the temporary park up by the Bridgewater exhibition. It was very successful. I did events in Lunenburg to raise money and in Bridgewater. I think we donated those ramps to Lunenburg, and then in my 20s I became very sick and had to step down. Jesse Watson from Homegrown Skateboards kindly came in and helped facilitate us getting a really great skate park, and recently just did an event there, and we have had a lot of feedback from a lot of the parents and skaters, and I am being the one to bring it to you guys. So one priority that people were very upset about, I wouldn't say to a massive degree, but the washroom situation at the skate park. I was informed that there was a porta potty there and it was removed, but I'm not too sure because I never seen it. But people were wondering in regards to that of, is there a chance to get a porta potty? Parents were taking their kids to the woods to relieve themselves, and other people were doing the same, or going to the barn to ask to use the washroom. When we first developed the skateboard park idea, we had an idea of having fountains, bathroom, and a power source, which probably did not get brought on to when Jesse kind of took over. But that's kind of where a lot of the questions are coming from local people that are using the park. The bathroom, a water source, and possibly power. Pretty much that's it right now, and the other stuff is really dependent on where you guys see the skate park in a couple of years. Another thing that Ida Scott and I was very keen on was continuously having events at the skate park. A way skateboarding expands is that there has to be continuous events. I did the current event all out of my own pocket, and I'm currently on disability, so it was a little bit tight, but I did my best, and I'm wondering if there could be possibly a chance of some funding for events in the future. As of right now, I want to do more monthly, maybe even bi-monthly, but I think it's something Bridgewater really needs. Skateboarding has been a very big part of Bridgewater and Lunenburg County, and I think we could really spearhead a very good movement for skateboarding because it's not a criminal thing. It's about getting out, exercising, and so forth. That's where I am right now.
That's great. Kind of we can work backwards. So in terms of funding for events, there's always an opportunity to come to council when there's an event, hopefully with a little bit of a longer runway, to come to council and make a request for funding. We also have grants to organization committee that does have an intake form and can sometimes issue grants depending on what it is. Has to meet certain criteria. But if you do have ideas for events, you can always come to council and make that pitch. It happens quite a bit. And I just saw I got a note on that. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Sorry, no, my.
So, Kevin's going. So the porta potties were in place a few years back, and they were removed because every year they kept getting vandalized. We put them in, and maybe vandalism, and so engineering made the call that they were to be removed because of the vandalism. We did put a path that connects
To the
the
LCLC.
skate park to the LCLC that would enable patrons to use the LCLC washrooms as long as the LCLC was open. Then they could go there to use the washrooms, and so that was kind of the compromise for that time.
In terms of water and power, that is certainly something that we can bring forward
Yeah,
to.
we can-
There's a budget item.
Look at park improvement pieces to that.
But we can
Yeah.
certainly.
So that brings on my next kind of question, if I can quickly throw it in. Another thing that people came up to me were people from Liverpool asking who's running this. Is this an LCLC? Is this the town of Bridgewater? And I would share that me and Jesse Watson was the ones putting the skate jam on. And they were very impressed. They very much liked how it was organized with the bands and everything like that. And they floated around, well, who can we reach out to do events like this in the future? And I've established that we do not have anybody that handles skateboarding events. I am wondering, is there some sort of position available to mainstream more events at Bridgewater Skate Park, maintenance and everything else? Because I would love to do it.
Yeah, so we have, through recreation, we would have someone that would work on events, but not specifically.
Yeah,
skate
not
park.
necessarily host them like that, but certainly, we can connect you with our program coordinator to talk about programming the space. But in terms of hosting an event,
Yeah,
that would be probably something that council would want to have a look at what it would cost. In addition to we do community festivals like Canada Day and Music on the Riverbank and those types of
We
things.
would love to join in on those events, we really would. All it would take was a simple box ramp, literally $200. We could build a box ramp that's suitable, and we could bring it to events to show that skateboarding is not criminal. I always keep going back to it because it was a big thing growing up that if you were a skateboarder, you were a criminal. It was a weird thing. But I feel that if we had a role that can be used as like, contact this person, or oh, there's vandalism going on in the porta potty or in the park, contact this person, because I've been with the skateboard area and community for a long time, and I know a lot of people around the area, so it would come across my vision, I guess you could say, and I would be able to handle it in probably a pretty good way. So I'm wondering that if there is some future development in that, if I could throw my name into the hat.
Well, we can connect you with our program
Yeah,
coordinator for
we can.
recreation.
Look at what's possible there. The space before used to be somewhat I wouldn't say managed, but events were hosted by we had a skate park, Friends of the Skate Park Committee, I think it was.
Yeah, it was the subcommittee.
Yeah.
I
and-
didn't do events.
The
Yeah,
event
we
stopped
built the
after
park.
I left.
Oh.
Because I
Well, they used to
mainstreamed the events.
fundraise for some types
They'd
of.
host the event to
yeah,
fundraise for the
yeah,
park, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had an opening of the park.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So who would have organized, would that have been Jesse that organized those events?
Jesse
That-
wasn't involved in the
So
park.
for the fundraising,
Fundraising
Yeah.
wasn't that done
was
by
a
the
town
society?
committee.
Yeah, yeah,
Town committee.
okay.
yeah. And then that was given to someone to organize events.
Because
So, like when we had like the skate jams as a fundraiser, because we had a couple of those.
Oh, at the LCLC parking lot? We had temporary ramps.
Yeah, no,
that
I
Alan Muir
thought we
built
had,
in
after we
his class
opened
built.
there's been a few
We
skate
had an
jams
opening event, but anything since then has been done by the community members.
by
and
individuals.
users. Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's pretty much
In terms of Canada Day, raise your hand if you're on the Canada Day committee. So there you go. So, yeah, reach out to Councillor Frazier, Councillor Newell, or they can reach out to you if you want to be involved with Canada Day.
Okay.
I'm sure there's probably some way to get people involved.
Well,
No.
I mean, I think that's kind of like looking at Pat a bit, but I mean, especially since this year's being hosted at the LCLC, I'm sure we've got some space. So, yeah, we
Okay,
can.
cool.
We
We
yeah,
were
skate park's
invited
right
to,
next door, right?
Yeah,
So-
we were
Yeah.
invited to the open day thing in Bridgewater, but we were just doing a skate jam and it didn't line
Yeah.
up.
So,
So it'd
we,
be amazing to have more support for the skateboarder community because it's really a good thing.
let's chat, right? We
All
can
right.
add whatever can be planned. We can add that to kind of the map of things going on, and we would love to get something on the board. I'm
Cool.
sure
All
that'd be
right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Right, right. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, well, down to minutes. We have the May 26th regular council minutes in your agenda. Any errors or omissions with those? Hearing none, motion to approve the minutes. Councillor Wynot, second by Councillor Newell. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. And we are down to correspondence for action. So 8.1, South Shore Exhibition request for in-kind contribution for the parade. So even though there is some work being done on Empire Street, there is still going to be a couple of parades in town. And so this is the ask that normally comes forward.
Yep, so the ask is for the street closures for the parade route, which it's noted that the parade route is changing this year, given the work that is being done, so I'm sure they'll have future announcements about that. But the street closures would still be required to support that, and that's often done by the town's engineering and public works department. Policing is also involved during the parade to assist public works along the parade route and at the start and end points. And we also live stream the parade. So Patrick does that on behalf of the town for the exhibition. The estimated cost of that in-kind work based on previous years is $6,000 to $7,000 to support that. And the town would be noted and recognized for that support. So the request is for the town to continue to do that again this year.
Any questions on that of the CAO? Councillor Newell?
Just remind me, because I don't recall this when we are having budget discussions. Do we budget this
Yeah.
sort of? We already have this kind of budgeted, so
We
this
do.
isn't anything too crazy.
No. So we have budgets within engineering and public work for the events, and the police do as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Caldwell?
I move the town council for the town of Bridgewater approve the in-kind support of estimated to be in the amount of approximately $6,000 to $7,000 for the 2025 South Shore Exhibition Parade, scheduled for Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025, in the town of Bridgewater.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Vergier. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. There's a good plug for mark your calendars. Tuesday, July 22nd at 6 p.m. is the Big X Parade. Get out your lawn chairs. Down to new business, we have 11.1, first reading, Chapter 184, tax exemption for non-profit organizations, and this is for the Bridgewater Masonic Hall Society.
So council remembers, we just recently amended this bylaw to refresh the list of properties that would be granted full or partial tax exemption. That was based on a recent change to the bylaw, which requires that on an annual basis, the nonprofit organizations make application and update their information so that it can ensure that they still qualify to be on the list. Those amendments were done in March, and the bylaw had a due date of March 15th for applicants to apply. So, but given that we had done the amendments in March, we gave a little bit of lead time. So staff did reach out to all those that were on the list under the previous bylaw, and the Bridgewater Masonic Society was one on the list and one contacted. Staff had contacted them a couple times in March and to request information and advise of the change, but we didn't receive a response. When the tax bills went out, we received a response. And so I'm not too sure why the delay, but the tax bills certainly did kind of prompt the attention of the fact that they were no longer on the list. So they were on the list previously as a partial exemption. So not full, but partial exemption. And this is the property on Dominion Street. And they used the space primarily to rent out to other nonprofit organizations. So they provided a list of who they do provide rentals to. There's the Seniors Group, Bridge Club, the Acadia Lodge, Unity Lodge, a driving school, Alcoholic Anonymous, and a few other short-term rentals. Majority of their revenue comes from rental revenue. So one of your criteria is to make sure that they weren't more than 90% reliant on funding, government type funding. So they are fairly self-sufficient with their rental revenue. Their expenses are around $31,000 and their revenue is $25.6. So healthy that way. The criteria that council needs to consider for exemption hasn't changed from the last time, so they were on the list before. So they do meet that need. They're providing rental space that council could otherwise be expected to provide to nonprofit organizations as a place to gather within the community. They were under partial exemption before, and the difference between the two is really that partial exemption is for a use that would be delivering a social, recreational, or heritage service not likely to be offered directly by the town, but is supported by the town. So council kind of put them in that category during the last time, and that's what they're requesting again. There are funds within the budget that can accommodate this request. You budgeted $123,000, and currently there's $97,948 that have been allocated to property tax exemptions. So the partial tax exemption amount would be $4,355, so within budget. So the recommendation before council is to consider providing a partial tax exemption to the Bridgewater Masonic Society at their property located on 93 Dominion Street. And to do so, you'd be required to do first reading, give public notice, and second reading would come back at a future council meeting.
In July.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? Is someone prepared to make a motion? Deputy Mayor?
Move the Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater hereby conduct first reading of bylaw number 230, a bylaw to amend bylaw 184, tax exemption for nonprofit organizations, and give notice that council will consider second and final reading at the July 14th, 2025 council meeting.
Seconded by Councillor Newell. Just, I can't remember if you read the list of who has one now, but just because the public might be interested. So currently, the property tax exemptions are the food bank, the field house, the curling club, and the Arc, and now this property. So, but those are all the properties. So just know some people have asked questions about other properties. So if it's not one of those, then there's not a property tax exemption for it. So, if there's no other questions, we've had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. You can stay if you want, Vaughn. You can stay the whole meeting if you want. We're going to, but you don't have to. I always feel bad when people are like, "Can I go?" You can go. The rest of you have to stay. I know. It's only going to get better. Okay, 11.2. I was being serious. I'm not being sarcastic at all. I'm very tired. Yes, concurrent amendments for 1, 2, 3, 3 King Street. Yes.
I'd like to declare a conflict of interest, please.
Thank you, Councilor Fraser.
Yep.
Welcome, Santa.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor. This is an initiation report for proposed amendments to the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw regarding 1233 King Street. Staff received an application to develop a 22-unit residential building at 1233 King Street on a 0.8 acre lot through a concurrent redesignation and rezoning and development agreement application. The applicant requests map amendments to the municipal planning strategy to redesignate the property from low-density residential to high-density residential. This redesignation would facilitate a concurrent rezoning from single-unit residential R1 zone to high-density residential R6 zone. A development agreement is required due to the considerable number of proposed units. Although the high-density residential R6 zone is the highest density zoning in the town, it doesn't permit more than 16 dwelling units without a development agreement. Therefore, to accommodate the proposed 22-unit residential building, not only are redesignation and rezoning essential, but a development agreement is also required. So this application targets 3 components. First, to amend the MPS to redesignate 1233 King Street property from low-density residential to high-density land use and high-density residential land use. And second, to enable land use bylaw amendment from single-unit residential R1 to high-density residential R6 zone. And third, in order to enable development agreement to operate constructing 22 residential units. This presentation is focused on the MPS amendment because essentially when a map amendment to the land use bylaw rezoning conflicts with the map 2 future land use map of the MPS, Council must first amend the MPS through a policy change. At this initiation stage, Council needs to decide whether it wishes to pursue any such a policy amendment. The lot is adjacent to single-unit residential R1 on the west and borders the industrial M1 zone in the south. And from the north, it is neighbor to Park Zone alongside of the Lahave River. From the east, on the opposite side of Logan Road, there is a single-unit residential zone, and zooming out slightly, it is evident that the property is primarily surrounded by low-density residential properties with some areas of industrial land. A full policy analysis would be completed for the planning analysis report, and the staff would explore what the amendments could look like. Upon initial assessment, the proposed MPS amendments may be supported in policy. The preamble to Section 5.6 of the MPS high-density residential designation states that this designation applies to lands along the periphery of the downtown where higher densities are encouraged. particularly in transitional areas between commercial and residential uses, as well as in other residential areas where a mix of densities is expected to enhance the character and functionality of the neighborhood. Subsection 5.6.1 focuses on the high-density residential R6 zone, which encompasses lands intended for the most intensive multi-unit residential development permitted in town. The goal is to provide more convenient and affordable housing options. The MPS further states that the town council encourages increased residential densities in strategic areas, especially near the downtown, to respond to evolving housing needs and to bring residents closer to key commercial districts. The wastewater capacity. The proposal to develop 22 residential units on a lot that has historically accommodated a single unit dwelling represents a substantial shift in land use intensity. Therefore, staff requested that the applicant provide a downstream wastewater capacity assessment, short for DWCA. The DWCA indicates that the existing pipe in sewer shed 7 becomes over capacity with the additional flow from the proposed 22 units. Engineering staff mentions that while the existing pipe capacity within sewer shed 7 is over capacity, wastewater offsetting may be a potential solution. However, its feasibility is limited due to the small size of the sewer shed 7 and the difficulty in achieving the required 4.28 liter per second reduction. If pursued, a 2-to-1 offsetting ratio would apply and council approval would be required to proceed with identifying viable offsetting projects. Pump station number 7 has sufficient capacity to handle the additional flow with no operational concerns based on the current SCADA data. At the treatment level, available capacity is limited, and although this development could be accommodated, it would consume a meaningful portion of what remains. As such, engineering can offer conditional support for the proposed policy change from low to high density residential, provided that conveyance capacity issues are addressed via offsetting being tied to the development agreement application, and the development's impact on remaining treatment capacity is acknowledged and considered within broader strategic growth planning. Engineering assessment. Engineering adds that the viability of the offsetting solution is contingent upon smoke testing. As this testing has not yet been scheduled, engineering cannot determine whether offsetting would be a viable option at this time or not. Staff also asked engineer to determine how many units would shift that section of pipe from red over capacity to green under capacity, and engineering concluded that 4 to 5 units, additional units, would bring the pipe to 100% capacity, which aligns with the medium density residential as of right. So, given the substantial shift from the lowest to highest density residential density, and in light of the wastewater capacity concerns, staff believe it is appropriate to assess the feasibility of a medium density residential designation as an alternative. This would help balance development goals with infrastructure capacity while still supporting new housing opportunities. This designation allows council to consider medium to high density residential development through a DA, development agreement. So this aligns with the applicant's proposal in terms of both flexibility and intent. Medium density residential designation includes 2 zones, downtown residential R4 zone and medium density residential R5 zone. Since the R4 zone is applied to areas adjacent to the downtown core, the R5 zone offers a more context-sensitive alternative. It provides a balanced approach that supports residential intensification while responding to existing infrastructure capacity and neighborhood character. This table outlines the number of residential units permitted for development under R5 medium-density residential and R6 high-density residential zones based on subject lot size, which is 35,132 square feet or 0.8 acres. Staff is also considering the possibility and probability that if the proposed amendment to redesignate the property to high-density residential is approved and the applicant later decides not to proceed with a DA but instead advances the development through a site plan application, which would permit up to 16 units, the town would have no mechanism to address the overcapacity issue. Given this level of uncertainty, staff find themselves facing multiple constraints, not only from the town's policy framework, but also from the engineering perspective. As a result, staff do not recommend the proposed amendment from the low-density residential designation to high-density residential designation at this time. And the medium-density residential designation offers a flexible and reliable path forward. The applicant can confidently proceed with as-of-right development, knowing the existing wastewater infrastructure has sufficient capacity. At the same time, should the applicant pursue a development agreement, the DA process allows the staff to request offsetting measures, enabling a significant increase in unit count up to 12 units, without risking infrastructure overload. So staff have identified this recommended option for town council to consider, refuse to initiate the proposed redesignation of the subject property to high-density residential to enable rezoning to the high-density residential R6 zone and DA application for a 22-unit residential development. Instead, direct staff to pursue via initiation of an MPS amendment an alternative approach to redesignate the property to medium-density residential, enabling a rezoning to the medium-density residential R5 zone, to allow a DA application for a 12-unit residential development. And in the report, we have other options as well. The second option is refusing the initiation of the proposed redesignation and refrain from pursuing any amendments to the MPS and LUB through the current application. And the third option is approving the initiation of the redesignation to high-density residential. And the fourth and the last option is deferring the decision and the report back to staff for additional information. Thank you.
Thank you, Santa. Questions from council? Deputy Mayor? Yep. Yep, there's a lot in there.
Okay, so there's a limited variety of housing options in that area, but adding density, it's not kind of out of place there because it's walkable to the downtown, to the high school, to the industrial park. There's a lot of employers, and I don't think we have any bus stops in that area, so walkable's good.
Yeah, we do have.
Oh, is there like up around Michelin?
Well, it comes
Like
down
walking up?
Logan.
Logan,
it's-
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, yeah. Okay, so we're not disputing that increasing density makes sense there, correct?
Right.
Okay, so, but at the R5, that would be a faster process than R6 because R6 is going to require a DA process. Okay, what kind of time difference is there between those two?
I think the reason, that the difference between R5 and R6, both can go through DA. It's not just about DA. And it's not just about the density. It's just about the dramatic shift for the character of that area from R1 to R6. And so I think that if both go through DA, the time would be the same in R5 and R6.
Okay, so R5 is not as of right.
They both require a
both
DA
require
for
yeah.
the proposed number of units, right? So
Right.
Okay, that's what's
R5
getting
is 4
confusing on that
units
last
as of
slide.
right, and R6 is 8 units, but the proposal is for enough that either one triggers a DA.
Right.
Okay, except for if it was R6, it would be as of right with conditions between 9 and 16 units, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But the proposal's for up to 22,
Yeah.
which is a DA for either. Yeah.
Nobody else is going.
I've got questions, but please, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So at one slide, you mentioned that the pipe would be 4 to 5 additional units would bring the pipe to 100% capacity, right? So help me understand that math, because even with the hypothetical 12, even if it was an R5, we would still be way beyond that capacity. So is that where offsetting comes into play, or?
With the 12 units.
Yeah, even with the 12 units, right? Because
Of course.
more than 5.
Of
So.
course, yeah. But the difference is like through a DA, because the 12 units can go through DA in R5 zone, and we can have mechanism just to require offsetting solution.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's the only.
is your concern that it's going to be a lot easier to achieve the offsetting with the 12 units rather than
With
the
the,
proposed 22?
with the development agreement application, it's easier just to make it happen, make the offsetting solution happen.
Because both would require a DA.
Right,
So.
there's 12 units and the 22 units for R6, yeah, both require DA.
Yeah.
So the issue would be if it's R6 and the proponent doesn't go ahead, it's now R6. We know that with 4 units, it's at 100% capacity.
Yeah.
It would then become as of right 8 units.
I see.
Nine.
So,
And then the town cannot go back and force offsetting measures.
thank you. So that's what I was looking for. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
On the offsetting, so normally in these reports, we're looking for a downstream report. I think Tammy has told me that we do have the report, and so the smoke testing is to determine where offsetting measures may be available.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah, it's subject to the smoke testing, and engineering staff has not scheduled it yet. So, yeah, I cannot talk about it from engineering,
Right.
part, yeah.
Yeah. So the smoke testing will identify if there are any offsetting opportunities. So the assessments identified that we're at capacity when we get to 4 to 5.
Right.
So that would be necessary for anything over that. Engineering doesn't anticipate that the smoke testing, it would be a couple months out before they'd be doing that.
So the question I have is that we don't really have the data, because we haven't done the smoke testing, to say that there's not enough ability to do the offsetting to do the 22 units. Like, so there could be, but we don't know. The risk is if we went to R6, that there are not enough offsetting, and there's not enough ability to do the offsets. So you still can't do the 22, but now we've got 8 that can be done as of right with
Right.
the offsets. Okay. So like for me, when I read the report, the high density to me is not the issue. When I look at the area, there's nothing across the street. You got Logan Road right beside it. There is one house on one side. It's commercial at the back. So to me, high density isn't out of place. It just comes down to that pipe is not big enough. Which is just, it's such a frustrating thing that it comes down to the pipe, and if it was as easy as just saying, we'll just change the pipe, but that's a many $million equation. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
So the last time that we did offsetting, the consultant's report for the downstream assessment gave us recommendations for what could be done to offset. Did it not? What did this report say?
So they identified, they had some data already to know what the opportunities were. So in this case, that doesn't exist. So some of the offsetting solutions that they identified were looking at manholes and fixing manhole covers, anywhere where stormwater can infiltrate. They also had recommendations about removing things on private infrastructure, so sump pumps and roof leaders and things like that, which are a little bit more challenging for the town to do, because you open that can, you're opening quite a can, right? That you'd have to, because there's lots that those probably take a little bit more creative solutions in terms of incentivizing homeowners in some way to do those. But those are the types of things. It's mainly what can be done within the street with our infrastructure to reduce inflow or infiltration, sorry. And then, other than that, it's private, so.
I mean, yes, go ahead.
I'll stop, I promise.
You don't have to stop. No, well,
Have
lots of questions.
you spoken to the builder about how many units makes this project viable?
22 units.
And
Yeah.
without 22 units, it's a
No,
dead project?
the applicant is open about, other options. As we talked about, like the R5 zone, and he's open about that too. Of course, the 22 is the preferable option.
Right.
But, no applicant is not, it doesn't have a problem, I think, based on the meeting we had.
We can ask the applicant if he
Yeah.
wishes to speak. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, so.
If you want to just come, sorry, do you want to come up to the?
Sure.
Just talking in terms of the viability of below the 20, I know you want 22 units. So if it's not able to be 22 units, is it still a viable project for you, I guess is the question.
Potentially, yes. But obviously, as you know, as much unit that you can add under one roof, it will bring the construction cost down. And obviously that will turn at the end of the story of the construction to lower rent. We can do 12, we can do 16, we can do whatever the capacity allows. I'm not really here today just to debate or argue or anything like this. Just want to make sure that if we do have the capacity, let's go with the high number that we can. I'm not sure I'm not an engineer, so whatever that number is, let's go with it. Is it 16? Is it 15? I don't know. I'm a little bit just surprised that this entire application relied on the smoke testing, and the smoke testing is not done, and no one asked me even to do it on my coast, or so. Now after 6 months of the first step of 6 steps or 7 steps. So this application started on December 4th to get to where we at today, which is step number 1 out of 7 steps or 6, can't remember, to reach out to the construction permit. So it's a long process. So I am just surprised that the smoke testing was not really done through this process, because the policy says the downstream water capacity assessment is not required if the connection already on site, which is the connection already on site on that building. However, if you are upgrading or adding new connection, downstream water capacity assessment is required. The staff asked me to do it just to make sure that we have capacity. I did it on my coast. Now, the downstream water capacity assessment is not the main report that will make, you guys will make your decision. So, again, I'm a little bit concerned about the process, the time of the process, but it's up to the town, obviously, and for sure we need to make sure that we have capacity. Deferring this project to do further investigation, we were talking about years, not months, not, I was talking to the Design Point on Thursday or Wednesday. They told me the smoke testing can be done in 1 day and 2 days to prepare the reports and analyze the data and all of this kind of stuff. So again, it's in your hand. I'm not requesting anything really out of the ordinary or beyond the capacity or overdo the policy. I'm here to help. I'm a partner, a housing partner in the town. After all of the 3 years, we have a big project that was approved by the town. Hopefully we'll have the announcement in a couple of weeks. But this one, I'm just a little bit overwhelmed with which one, what we need to do, why the smoke testing was not required. Now, the decision on this application based on the smoke testing, but it's not done. So it can be done, it can be ordered from Design Point. Also, when the Design Point did the downstream water capacity assessment, in their conclusion, they put in their report that, in our opinion, the addition of the 22 units at 1233 King Street will not significantly impact water stream system. And by the way, the pipe is not small. The pipe is normal sized, it's just the slope. So in the report here, in one of the presentations, I can't remember which page, it shows the small size, I believe, it's not small, it's just normal size, but the slope is not slope enough to have that flow go all the way down. And yeah, that's all. So to answer your original question, 12 unit will be viable, not really, but it will be expensive project, and that will turn to expensive rent, obviously. When you go higher, it will be better. That's it. I hope I answered that question.
I think so.
In
terms of the downstream water assessment, I know the policy says it does not need if you're using the existing lateral, but that would be if you're going, like that's a single family unit property, would that
No,
be
so.
if it's just staying as single family? Is that what the policy?
So the reason why the downstream wastewater assessment was requested was because we were looking at a policy amendment and a land use bylaw change.
Oh, okay.
So there's criteria that has to be satisfied within your planning strategy when you consider amendments, and one of them is that the town has sufficient capacity within its wastewater system to accommodate what's being requested. And there has to be a specific development proposed. So in order to answer that wastewater condition assessment's required. And so that's why. But normally, if there's an existing lateral and you're not changing the use, then you can use that lateral. And that's exactly why staff are recommending the R5 zone as opposed to the R6, in addition to the contextual piece about it's going from a low density to the highest density you have, is because the as of right for that would be 4 units, which is what that lateral could connect to. If it's changed to R6, then the as of right for that lateral is 8.
Right.
Right, so the report does indicate that at 5 it puts it over, and while it might be minute or a small amount, it's kind of like a death by 1,000 cuts. Like where's that cutoff point? So if every development's looked at that way, eventually that does all add up. And the assessment, as was noted, is about the fact that because the pipe isn't sloped properly, or at an angle it needs to be, that's what's causing the issue in terms of capacity.
Is it, without the smoke testing though, and knowing exactly what offsetting measures are at the developer's disposal, is it not premature to say no to the R6?
So
because what if we say yes to R5, do smoke testing in 2 days or 2 weeks or whatever it is, and they come back and go, oh my goodness, say you can do enough offset so you could put 22 units here. Has that been looked at? Okay.
I just wanted to add some points. We had a meeting with Karim in December, but we received the complete application in March 20. I just wanted to add that. And about the DWCA, the assessment from Design Point gave us the actual number of the proposal. I think the first number was 30 units, and then it just decreased based on this assessment because it's 100 lateral, and then it's subject to an actual fixtures, 240 fixtures we can have. So the design in between matters a lot. If a unit can have more than 2 bathrooms, or even the parking, drainage is another additional component. so which is removed from the assessment. So it's all related to the design, and then so we didn't require design at this stage, and then that's why we just focus on that.
So if we, with the smoke testing piece, there was a conversation around, do we wait, do the smoke testing, determine what offsetting opportunities there are, and if it could accommodate 22, and council felt their policy criteria was still met in terms of going from R1 to R6, because that's the other piece of the equation, is that contextual piece about where it's located. But if council was satisfied about that, and we could identify the offsetting and what could be accommodated, but it takes time to do that offsetting. It's more than the smoke test. There's traffic control. Matt's advising it takes about 9 staff to be on site during that whole process. And so you have to pull from other projects that we're working on to do that. And engineering we do the smoke testing. So it has to be fit into the existing work program. When I asked our director about when he thought that could be, he said it could be a month to 2 months out to do that, given that we're within our capital project team and the number of resources it takes to do smoke testing is pulling from our other capital pieces that we're working on, and other projects that staff are doing. There's other plans on their desk and all those things that have to get set aside to put this in. So we did have that debate about, there's always the option to defer and look at doing that smoke testing to determine what offsetting possibilities there are, but that adds time to the applicant as well. If you do the smoke testing 2 months out and we're in the midst of doing between first and second reading, we can always look at another change to that, but we'd have to do first reading over again. Or if we're at the end of it and council's done second reading and approved, then we'd have to do another amendment application.
Deputy Mayor.
Looking to find time.
Mm-hmm.
I think you said to me when I asked you questions that Mr. George could do the smoke testing on his own if he chose to do that and speed up the process. Is that?
It's still going to take traffic control, and it's not off. It's within our right of way, so engineering would still have to be involved in that, and there would be a cost to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, I understand like the foundational issue here is R6, the as of right is 8 units. We're at capacity with 4 without offsetting. So the R5 puts us at capacity with the as of right, and then everything else is subject to everything lining up perfectly. I do understand that. This infrastructure issue is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Other questions? Council? Someone prepared to make a motion, whether it's a recommended motion or another motion? I hesitate to want to defer just because I understand that time is money, and it just delays things further.
Would it be appropriate to ask the preference whether we hold off, or would it be preferred speed and we approve something rather than nothing, or delay until such testing be done and then we can revisit this?
It's a gamble, really. We're at the beginning stages, so staff have to do this. This would have to come back to council with the amendments to do first reading. So that would put us into probably July. I'm really flying here, but July. And then second reading would be in August. So will smoke testing be done by that time? It could be. Or you could look at first reading in August, and by September, smoke testing should be done. So it's about a month of gap between. If you want to go really fast, we could have second reading done by August and then it approved and effective, or we can see about like September, we hopefully would know what the smoke testing was. This wouldn't waste any time, but the risk is if the smoke testing comes back and says we can find offsets for 22, which my understanding is a large number in a small sewer shed. So that's the other struggle with it. But if we can, then we'd have to do first reading over again if council was satisfied. So
Okay, but you're
again,
just doing first reading over again. Which is not-
As long as you haven't done second reading
Right,
before the
okay.
smoke testing
All
is
right,
done.
That
Yeah.
helps me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that help you? Helps me a little bit?
It's about a month.
A little bit. Okay. What is the wish of council? I can't make a motion. Councilor Caldwell.
I move that town council for the town of Bridgewater deny the application for the concurrent amendments to the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw to redesignate property 1233 King Street from low-density residential designation to high-density residential designation, and rezoning from single-unit residential zone to the high-density residential zone. And approve the initial amendments to the MPS and LUB to concurrently redesignate the property at 1233 King Street from low-density residential to medium-density residential, and to rezone from single-unit residential to medium-density residential zone.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Councilor Wynot. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried.
So this will come back to council in July for first
For
reading,
first reading.
assuming staff have the amendments prepared and legal counsel's reviewed them.
Yep, okay, thank you. And in the meantime, if Mr. George wants to do smoke testing himself, he can contact the town and look at that as an option, but that's between engineering and.
Yeah,
and Mr.
engineering would
George.
have to, yeah, because we'd
Yep.
still have to oversee the traffic
Yep,
control
okay.
piece of it. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't hear actually the decision.
Oh, it's first reading for R5 would be in July, and then if smoke testing happens between now and then, or between first reading and second reading, then there's options maybe that may come back to council, but it's, at least this starts moving the ball forward to the medium density residential.
Thank you so much. So what will happen that after the smoke testing, and the smoke testing prove that we can do up to 16, for example?
Yeah, so that's within the
Yeah.
R5 anyway, right?
The,
That,
Or
I
that
think
puts us-
R5 is up to 12.
Up to
Yeah,
12, right.
so,
Oh, with the bonus.
Or
it's
15.
it's,
right.
it'd be between 15 and 24 by development agreement. So we'd have to look at whether, yeah, if anything over 16 would be by DA, anything between 8 and 16 would be by site plan. So we would have to look at
But
a
that's
development
for-
agreement.
that's for R6,
Six,
though,
yeah. We'd
yeah.
have to look at, council would have to consider whether they're prepared to make changes
Yeah.
to enable the R6 zone. And that that would necessitate that we do first reading over again, which is somewhat of a formality, but there'd be an analysis piece to that council would have to consider.
So this does move this forward. So if the results from the smoke test are not favorable, at least we can move forward with R5 without delay, because we have first reading set for July. If there's a change from the smoke testing and R6 looks doable, then to the CAO's point, if we've already done first reading, we'd have to just redo it. But at least if it's not favorable, then this does move with medium density residential.
Fair.
Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. I appreciate council's questions, and Santa, thank you for your report. There was a lot in there to unpack, so I appreciate that.
Did you get all that, Vaughn?
And thank you to Councilor Frazier for, I don't know if the public understand that councilors have to self-declare a conflict if they feel they have a conflict of interest, and so I always appreciate when a member of council does that. Doesn't happen in every municipality. Okay, we are down to, I've lost my place. Which is, where are we at? 11.3, Municipal Joint Service Board. Gabe told me at the beginning that he's like, just put me to the end, I'm happy to wait.
He was, he's just been working over there. He's fine.
Yeah, all right, so, welcome Gabe from the Municipal Joint Service Board. Does everybody know Gabe? Has everyone met Gabe?
think so.
Have you presented you presented at least once in person?
Yeah, just in March on this topic.
All right.
So that was in camera, but.
Right.
Yeah.
So welcome back, EPR. Here we
Thank
go.
you. And actually, I got to say, that was fascinating. As someone who used to put the wastewater infrastructure in the ground, it was kind of interesting to see how that all, what you have to do to design the process.
It's
or
a lot.
design it, yeah.
It is a lot, yes.
But
Thank you.
it's better than just putting pipes in the ground willy-nilly and hoping it all works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, how it works? Throw them in the ground.
I can give you examples of when that happens, but I don't want to keep you here all night. So, yeah, I'm here to talk about extended producer responsibility for packaging products again. So, if you'll recall, back in March, we came in and gave a riveting presentation on this matter and. Talked about some of the challenges that we're facing and some of the options that are out there. So, for years now, this has been in the works that you know, the responsibility for these products are going to shift from the municipalities to the producers, and the producer responsibility organization, Circular Materials, is going to be the one taking care of that in Nova Scotia. So what this means is your curbside pickup at the of your packaging products when you put it out on the curb. Right now, you guys pay for that as the town, and now there's a couple of options that we're here to present to shift that over. So one is you can opt in to this service model, and that means that you'll continue to manage the recycling, you'll continue to pay well, right now it's GE Trucking to pick that up and bring it to our facility where we process it. However, you'll be receiving reimbursement from Circular Materials for that if you choose to opt in. So this allows us to keep the whole waste management system integrated and, you know, so that you're not getting somebody picking up your recycling different than who's picking up your garbage or your composting. If you were to choose to opt out, that would mean that you say, Circular Materials, this is your responsibility now. You no longer have to pay GE for this material as a town. And but you lose the control over that, and they can shift things around. Your recycling day could be a different day than your garbage. It's nice to keep the whole system integrated. And we do have to provide confirmation of intention to opt in or out by June 20th. The whole program is going to be coming into effect on December 1st, 2025. So if you'll recall, during the March presentation, we highlighted a couple of key challenges that we were facing. Some were around indemnification and insurance requirements in the contracts. Those have all been reviewed or addressed and reviewed by our legal counsel and our insurance providers to make sure everybody's in agreement with those now. One of the other main points was small industrial, commercial, and institutional collection. So initially, Circular Materials had said, no, we're not responsible for that product, which they're not under the regulations. So you guys will have to find a new way to collect those materials, and whether that would mean putting on a separate collection. So this was a province-wide issue. The solid waste managers and directors group really stood up and worked with the regions to identify our discomfort with that idea of having to separate that, and we put a lot of pushback on them, and Circular Materials has now announced that between them and Divert Nova Scotia, the administrator, we will be able to come to an agreement to continue to collect the material on the same trucks and just have it paid for in an administrative manner. So that material, because they're not responsible for, the town would still be paying for the small ICI collection. It's not a huge number of properties. These are your fire halls and churches and that kind of thing. So it's not the people who have dumpsters at their facilities and are sending those off. Sorry, I just lost my spot here. Yeah, so under these, under the opt-in service model, Circular Materials will reimburse the municipality, or the town, for all residential material as per the regulations. They'll also cover a portion of the promotion and education component as well, so. We're still finalizing the full financial impacts there, but it will definitely cover your residential collection costs at the bare minimum. And once those are determined, you know, we'll share those obviously with the councils. So, so I guess, yeah, today we're just looking to, we have a recommendation. I think the one I've got is a little out of date. Tammy, did you have a?
Yep.
I think we're good.
We have
one?
it,
Okay.
we have it in our agenda.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions, happy to help out.
Just maybe so the public understands a little bit more. So we're one of the last provinces to kind of go down this road of EPR. So when you buy a box of Kraft Dinner or something else that needs to be recycled, the manufacturer has already factored in a cost to that, and other provinces have been collecting the money from the producers, right, to offset their recycling costs. But in Nova Scotia, that is currently borne by the taxpayer.
Exactly.
So this is us as a province now being able to participate in what has already been benefiting most other provinces. So this is a huge win for taxpayers, because the name is in it, right? Extended producer responsibility. It is the onus on the recycling, the cost of the recycling is now put onto the manufacturer, not onto the resident who, like, well, why, you didn't make it, why should you be responsible for recycling? So anyway, just, that's very high level explanation, but you know, I think when people hear EPR and they might be confused and think, like, do I have to pay for this now? No, it's the opposite. Now you don't have to pay for this. So there is a savings to the taxpayer. So really appreciate all the work, and as Gabe said, it was looking a little, we weren't really going down the same path, but with Circular, and you guys worked hard and pushed back, and we're now in a happy place.
Exactly, and actually we just heard last week that they're now considering doing some small ICI in Ontario as well, where they have it. So
beautiful. It's beautiful. Any questions from council? While Gabe's here, any questions at all regarding the waste site?
Let me get my list out.
Yeah, there's a list.
Yeah, just a sec.
Yeah. All right, if not, is someone prepared to make a motion on this item, Councilor Newell?
I move that the town of Bridgewater, I move that town council for the town of Bridgewater authorize the Municipal Joint Services Board staff to finalize contract negotiations with Circular Materials based on the opt-in service model under extended producer responsibility regulations, and further that the agreement be brought back to council for authorization to execute once finalized. Sorry, did I have the wrong motion?
No, you
No,
didn't.
that's good.
No?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry.
All
See,
good.
When conversations happen, I'm like, what did I do wrong?
We're doing the opt-in. Yeah, do I have a seconder? Please, Councilor Frazier. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, it's all good. We have the May 2025 building inspection report. Just things continue to be busy. I know that Mr. George is here talking about timelines. I appreciate Santa clarifying that the completed application really didn't come in till March, so it only has been a couple of months, which is better than December to June. But also, when you look at the building inspection report, you look at all if you backdate all that to all these applications that came in. Even this morning, I spoke at a conference in Toronto and explained once again we're the only town in this province, only municipality in this province that hasn't had a declining population year once since 1985. Like, it's just, they're just busy. Staff are just full out all the time. So we'd all love to go faster, but it's hard when you've got applications and you can look at the number. It's application after application after application, and they're not all small, right? 20 years ago, it was for a house, and now it's for 16 or 22 units. Has to have a rezoning. It's very complicated. So, anyway, this is also my time to plug for the public. All our documents, everything that we have in front of us is available to the public. You can just go on the town's website under council and agenda. You will find every piece of information that we have there as well. Down to 11.5, reappointments of fire inspectors and administrators of dangerous, unsightly, and minimum standards.
Okay. So this is really to reconfirm the appointment of. So when council entered into an intermunicipal agreement in October 2024, it was for building and fire inspection. It was with the Town of Bridgewater, District Lunenburg, Region of Queens, for building, fire, and administration of our dangerous and unsightly policy and our minimum standards bylaw. And the District of Lunenburg has requested that council confirm the appointments, and this is more for their files and legal purposes if there's ever challenges or court cases. Proof of appointment is important to make sure that they had the authority to do what they're doing. So it's to confirm the appointment of Graham Hopkins and Kyle Wynot as fire inspectors effective October 16th, 2024, and Bruce Parks as fire inspector effective April 26th, 2022. So that's why it's confirmed.
Right.
Because they were appointed. This is just to confirm that we did those, and further that we appoint as administrators of our dangerous and unsightly premises policy and our minimum standards bylaw, Graham Hopkins and Kyle Wynot with the October 16, 2024 date, and Bruce Parks with the April 26, 2022 date.
Everyone understands that. Is someone prepared to make that motion? How about Councillor Fagier?
Yes, Your Worship. I move that Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater authorize the Municipal Joint Service Board.
No, we're after that.
Sorry.
We're at
Yeah.
11.5.
11.5, sorry. I'm good. 11.5, right. I move that pursuant to Section 19(1)B of the Fire Safety Act, Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater confirm the appointment of Graham Hopkins and Kyle Wynot as fire inspectors effective October 16th, 2024. And secondly, Bruce Parks as fire inspection effective April 26, 2022. And further that pursuant to Section 2(1) of the Town of Bridgewater's Policy 82, dangerous and unsightly premises, and Chapter 115, minimum standards bylaw, Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater confirm the appointment of 1, Graham Hopkins and Kyle Wynot as administrators for the dangerous and unsightly policy and the minimum standards bylaw effective October 16th, 2024. And secondly, Bruce Parks and administrators for the dangerous and unsightly policy and the minimum standards bylaw effective April 26, 2022.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Newell. Further discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. And appointment of investigator of code of conduct. So this is a new one.
Mayor and Council, good evening. So this is mandated under Section 23C1 of the Chapter 18 of Municipal Government Act, and it's a recommendation to appoint Taylor, McClellan, and Cochran as a municipal code of conduct investigator for the Town of Bridgewater. You may recall that the new legislation was brought in October of last year. Council adopted on the 25th of November the Code of Conduct. And so under Section 23C, we need to appoint an investigator. AMANS then went to work and did a request for qualification, went out across the province and sought respondents. They got 7 respondents that met their criteria. We've determined that one of those respondents, Birchall, Wickwire, and Bryson, we use for other labor law related issues. So to avoid a conflict, we took them off the list. And the company that has the best value, Taylor McLean McClellan and Cochrane are one of the recommended proponents. Just as an additional piece of information, the District of Lunenburg is also using the same investigator, so we think it's a good idea to try to keep it simple for the public. So it's another advantage of having this company appointed. We put $10,000 aside for the first fiscal year because we didn't really know how far we would need to do, so it's been earmarked. Hopefully it doesn't get used. And we will have to publish this on the website once we get it approved. Are there any questions?
Any questions? That is a budget item you hope remains at 0. Okay, someone prepared to make a motion, Deputy Mayor?
I move the Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater appoint Taylor, McClellan, and Cochrane as the Municipal Code of Conduct investigator.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wynot. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. So happy that we now have a provincial code of conduct for municipal officials. Fantastic. 11.7, we have the May 20th, 2025 discussion session notes. So that was a meeting all about wastewater. So timely topic. And again, it's all in our agenda package. And that will be an ongoing topic of council. And we are down to the last item, 11.8, sale of land on York Street. Welcome, our economic development guru.
I'm just an officer. Here to serve you, Mayor and Council. Thank you. Before you this evening, we have a proposal, request for purchase and sale of property under the Municipal Government Act, Section 50. The municipality may acquire or sell property, and staff have determined that such actions require authorization and direction from council. In the background component, the proponent in question is 902 Athletics. They operate at 446 York Street, and they've been in operation for about 10 years within their current site. They're currently undertaking a 33,000 square foot expansion to their facility, and their anticipated completion is later this fall, 2025. Having already achieved the required parking capacity within their current site, according to our requirements, that's a very positive situation. However, they've identified, given the expansion of the property, the hope to welcome additional clients and customers, not only to the recreation facility, the fitness component, but also to the bakery component, the cafe. They'd like to extend and expand on their parking by at least another 20 spots. Presently, their current facility and space does not allow them to expand those spots. And so they've come forward asking for the opportunity to purchase a 50 by 195 foot parcel of property located in the rear of their property, which abuts and is a part of a parcel of land, 14 acres that we own, PID number 6002328. The value of this said property is approximately, certainly the appraised value that we're running with, is at $20,000 per square acre. At this time, the property 50 by 195 feet is about 9,750 square feet, so it renders the value of the property at $4,476. The survey costs affiliated with this severing of this parcel of property for the applicant is about $2,500. There are legal costs that are associated with filing that as well, and those are estimated in the vicinity of $2,500. So the total cost for the land survey and legal fees is around $9,475. Our proponent has come forward with an offer recognizing the value of the property at market value, and also appreciating that the estimation of the costs to be absorbed by the town, although the legal fees and survey has typically, per our policy, is the responsibility of the town as the seller of the property. In this case, because we are talking about a smaller piece of land rather than a full parcel upon which we would be constructing potentially a home or a business, it's a different situation in that the price on the property at $4,475 is not our typical 1 to 2 acre lot rendering a much larger valuation. So in this particular case, the proponent is offering fair market value for the property and offering to cover 50% of the survey costs, bringing in their total offer of $5,726. This would result in a sale of the property in a balance to the town, excluding the valuation of the property at about $1,976. There are a couple of considerations in there. Okay, and I've already acknowledged that typically the town covers the cost for survey and legal, but the cost for survey and legal in this particular case actually exceed the market value of the property, and thus the proponent coming forward offering to cover a portion of the survey costs, with ourselves absorbing the legal aspect of this proposal. Again, they don't absolutely require the property, but they would like to be able to expand this parking lot component to better service their customers and continue to support their expansion. So the request is before you with their proposal in the amount of $5,726 plus tax to acquire the 50 by 195 foot parcel of property at the back end of their lot within our 14-acre property adjacent to it.
Thank you. This has been a unique one for council. So most people who follow council, I know lots of people watching online. When the town sells a parcel of land, the town absorbs all the costs for the legal and the surveying as the seller. But we are usually selling a large lot.
Correct.
For a larger sum, and so it can be fully absorbed into the price. This has actually highlighted a bit of a it's not very often that we sell a sliver of a parcel, and so and some of that is the layout of this larger lot. There's a sliver available, but it did highlight that we can't sell slivers of land if the surveying costs and the legal costs are going to be multiple times the actual sale price of the property. And then we also have some Municipal Government Act restrictions on what we can sell land for and can't below. So it's actually in one way been good, because council has to have a conversation about how we want to address the sale of partial lots of land. So that's been good, but also for people watching, they may be wondering, isn't it unusual that a purchaser would be covering half the cost of that?
Yes.
And that is, again, because it is a sliver of land, and the surveying costs and legal costs would have exceeded the cost of the land, market value of the land. We can't go below market value. So hope that's a little bit of an explanation for people. Are there questions on this topic coming from council? Or Councilor Wynot?
I'd like to move that Town Council for Town of Bridgewater direct the Chief Administrative Officer to enter into land purchase and sales agreement to sell 50 feet by 195 feet, it's 9,750 square feet, parcel of land within PID 600-23298 to the adjacent landowner 3300429 Nova Scotia Limited, 902 Athletics, located at 446 York Street, PID 606-50215, to support a parking lot expansion associated with their facility expansion for the amount of $5,726, including the land at appraised value and 50% of survey costs plus tax.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councilor Caldwell. Further discussion? Deputy Mayor?
Just wanted to say that I'm really pleased to see their growth, and would really love to help facilitate that if it made sense for everyone. We typically, like Mayor Mitchell said, we typically sell lots, and we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, and the legal and surveying costs are part of the cost of doing business in that situation. What 902 Athletics was asking for was a little bit outside of the norm, so we explored how we could make that work, and in the end it came out as a cost to taxpayers. And I can't justify that. I really do wish them the best. I'm really glad to see them grow. But I just don't think that I could justify that to somebody who asked me on the street, you know, why it cost us money to sell them land for a parking lot. You know, it's not a situation where we'll see tax revenue or anything like that to kind of offset it. So it's not something I can justify.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? I should note, because you raise a good point. There is the most recent, the skate park tournament would have been an example where people do park there for town events sometimes. So I do know that your point is correct. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to counter. But yeah, I had the same concern, but I'm kind of offsetting my concern with the fact that we do use it, or people using our facilities do use it, but it certainly isn't practice for us to lose money on the sale. So thank you for that. Other comments from Councilor Newell?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree with Councilor McDonald. Love our small businesses, really appreciate it. I will say, canvassing King Street for Canada Day event, there's nothing better than, you know, getting to chat with some of the local businesses. I think the particular hard part in this situation is I just think it sets a bad precedent of selling land for essentially nothing, and at the end of the day, that gets bored on the taxpayers, and that's money that, you know, could be used for other services.
Other thoughts on the table? Right, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that takes us to the end of our agenda, and we do not have an in-camera meeting following this, so can I please have a motion to adjourn? Councilor Newell, seconded by Deputy Mayor McDonald. We are adjourned. Thank you.